Hi, everyone, and welcome to Amplify You, the podcast dedicated to connecting the dots between industry best practices and resources you can bring back to your agency today. I'm your host, Caitlin Agar, Head of Learning and Development for Indium, and one of the many content contributors working to bring the future of professional development to the insurance industry. At Amplify You, we believe in the power of collaboration and the strength of collective intelligence. That's why we crowdsource our content, tapping into the experiences and insights of insurance agency owners like you, and why we created this platform to amplify the voices of thought leaders who are shaping the future of the insurance landscape. Join us as we unlock the strategies to help you build the team and lifestyle you want. This podcast is your gateway to discovering new opportunities and thinking independently together. Welcome to Amplify You, where training will get you where trying can't. Let's dive in. Hi, Jason. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Excited to be here.
Super pumped to have you on the show. And for those of you that are listening, we're actually recording this on St. Patrick's Day, which is so perfect because I don't know anyone that's a bigger fan of St. Patrick's Day than Jason. He even showed up with an Irish hat on. So we're just full of Irish spirit today and, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, it's my holiday. I can't deny it. I got the red beard, I got the Irish look, got the hat. Everybody calls me the tallest leprechaun, so got to live up to the hype.
The tallest leprechaun. You are pretty tall. And you guys have a pretty cool event going on later today.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. I was lucky enough, I guess, to cliche that in there, to win a charity package that's also been a bucket list of mine to brew and create my own beer. And we decided to split that honor with a child who has muscular dystrophy and help to try to raise funds for a cure and to give 100% of the uh, proceeds to the Children's Hospital. So the event tonight is like a St. Patrick's Day celebration, but we're really trying to dedicate 100% of the proceeds to the Children's Hospital to find a cure for muscular dystrophy. So super pumped, lot going on. We've got over 100, saying they're going to the event. So it's our first Kilgo insurance event. So couldn't be a better day than St. Patrick's Day.
That's so amazing. So that sounds like so much fun. I can't wait to hear all about it. And thanks for squeezing in Amplify You today. So we're excited to pick your brain. And I ran into you a couple months back at the, well, it was probably several months now at the IAOA event. And you do keynotes and presentations. And you had a presentation that day on how to sell umbrella insurance. And so for our listeners that maybe haven't run into you before or heard your content, Jason is a amazing agency owner, but also has a pretty cool history, having had amazing success in sales as a producer, then transitioning into sales leadership and owning his own agency. So it was really cool to see your presentation on how to sell umbrella insurance. Can't wait to learn more from you. And then we also just found out that we have something in common. I grew up in North Carolina in the Winston-Salem area. I was in Raleigh-Durham during those college years. And you went to High Point University?
That's right, second triangle. So
Yeah.
Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, and so small world.
It's a small world. So funny that we have that in common. And where are you located now?
That just means we're down to earth people, right?
I think so.
We're salt of the earth.
My accent still comes out every once in a while.
That's right. That's right. Well, I've got a real Southern accent, and then I lived in Maryland for a little bit, and then so sometimes I'll say yo, and everybody's like, "Where did you get that from?" And I'm like, "Well, it's like a Northern thing." So, anyways, I'm in Richmond, Virginia now. I love it. It's very family oriented. It's getting bigger. What I love about it is it's really grown. There's so many authentic like restaurants now, like just really authentic, nice upscale restaurants. And it's really cool because if you go downtown, it's pretty much a liberal arts city. I mean, you got VCU there, liberal arts city. And then the graffiti is all just super cool. So there's graffiti all over town, but it's like Picasso's everywhere.
That's
It's
so
it's
cool.
cool, trendy,
Yeah,
very
it's
trendy.
definitely up and coming, like, and just growing and just a cool place where people want to go and hang out. And what a great place to grow an agency. So, for the people who maybe haven't heard one of your keynotes yet, can you give us the cliff notes on like little ways back? You were not just an insurance producer, you sold a lot of insurance. So, can you tell us how that came to be and what some of those sales accomplishments are under your belt that kind of led to where you are today?
Yeah, I think I've always just been very confident in myself, and then once I find something I want to believe in, I'm fully vested,
All
like
in.
right from the get. So I say, hey, this is a great product. I'm all about it. So what happened is I was living in Florida at the time, and an old friend, old roommate said, hey, move back up here and get your life together. And I needed money. Like I literally had like $20 to my name. It was pretty rough. It was bad off. And when I moved up, it got to the point where it was like, okay, I need to get a job. It was very hard to find a job, and I thought I wanted to go into architecture or engineering at the time. I was always, very graphic artist kind of interested, and it was hard to get in. I'd have to go back to school. So I was like, all right, just to get a job, I can either go to Capital One and sell credit cards, or I can go to Geico and sell insurance. I was like, I don't want to sell credit cards. And I'll tell you, just the interview process with Geico and choosing them just intrigued me because right from the get, and I do this with my hiring practice, we come up with a sheet and it can be on anything. Mine's mountain bikes. And I put different values and things that this company offers, this made up company offers for mountain bikes. And what I'll do is when I talk to the candidate, I'll email them the sheet and then I say, hey, when I call, you need to sell me a mountain bike.
Wow.
And they did that right from the get go. And I just thought I nailed it. Like I really wanted the job. They take you through a long 3-month training process. You're being supervised, but they don't put you on the floor until month 2. I mean, you're going through a month of just pure training before you even take a phone call. And I just was enamored with, how all that, all the information there is to learn. I'm still learning, right? Insurance is one of those things that you still learn. But I really grasped it. I was like, this is something everyone needs. This is something that the states all say you have to have by law. And it's pretty cool. I was like, this is fun. Like I found it fun and I believed in it and I needed money. And so I told myself, I'm going to get this job and I'm going to be the number one agent. And what I really liked about Geico also, I'll say this, and I think a lot of agencies miss out on this. And we're not perfect at it by all means, but you need to gamify it, right? And what I mean by that is there needs to be some kind of measure, not just daily and weekly or monthly, but that you need to go after and hit to get to certain recognition. And what I liked about Geico is they said, hey, you can make a bronze, you can make silver, you can make gold. And if you make gold, you get more money for profit sharing, you get all these accolades, you get it better, the different levels of phone where you can get internet leads, and then you win a trip. But what was really cool is your name gets on a wall and it never comes off. Like you're stapled into history. So at Geico, back in 2005, 2004, 2005, I was the number one agent in the nation. No one can strip that away. So, when you talk about, hey, what made you great? It wasn't that I could close. It wasn't that I said things at the right time, at the right place for the clients to say, oh, we're going to buy from Jason compared to someone else. It was simply the fact that I was determined. I was confident in what I was selling. I believed in it. And I never gave up on a phone call. I just never gave up. Like I was like, hey, I expected people. I thought Geico at that time, just like I feel like my company now, Kilgo Insurance, was the best insurance company on the planet Earth. And when I went on that call, I just assumed, and there was no other option. That customer was buying from us because I needed to make them understand why we were so great. And I just didn't. I just refused to take a no. I just like if you told me no, I'd ask you questions on why it was a no. Like I would be in shock. So I just really believe in the product. I really believed in Geico at that time. I still, Geico is not my enemy. They're not my target client. They're not my competition. So Geico can do whatever they're going to do. I'm happy for them, but I am happy that I went through that process because they really, honed in and tightened up my phone skills. But really, they gave me that desire to stay in the industry. I mean, nobody wants to jump in our industry, right, Caitlin? I mean, nobody says I want to be an insurance agent. But when you got in there, you just felt like you belonged. Like this was home. This is my second home, and I'm gonna go out there and crush it. So.
And that's a accomplishment that doesn't go away, that I'm sure you learned a lot of lessons from. Were there any lessons that, like, what are the things you would change if you could, if you like look back in your times learning how to sell, learning how to connect with clients, learning how to build your agency? Is there any advice you would give on, like, hey, I tried this, don't do that, do this instead?
Yeah, on the front end, it's tough to say because I learned one way to sell at Geico. Geico was all about the close. Go as fast as you can through the application and close. All
And when you
states
say
same.
fast, what's the like average amount of time? Like,
So here's a
pretty
cool
fast.
here's a cool
Just young.
fact tidbit. The reason why Geico says 15 minutes or less on their commercials is because if a phone call goes over 15 minutes, Geico actually loses money. So their commercial is not just a jingle. It's, hey, we want to talk to you and we want you on and off and buying sold in 15 minutes or less. And we're going to save you money, right? So they're just putting that in there. So their whole thing is, hey, 15 minutes or less. So when you take that call, I'm getting through the application as fast as possible because I just got to get that information in to see where we're at, see what the reports look like, see what see what I can do to talk about coverages and seeing what you need there. And then I am closing. And Geico was really good and strong, especially in training about teaching a three close. You have to close at least three times. I can remember when I laugh about it now, but this call will never go away. We were $1,000 more than what the client was paying, and I was still closing them. And client's like, "Did you not hear me? You guys are $1,000 higher." And I'm like, "Well, sir, we're available 24/7. Geico stands for Government Employees Insurance Company. We cater to you. What is your routing account information?" And he's like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. You are $1,000 higher." And then I would close them again. And so you would have to close three times to get off the phone call, or it wasn't a great call, which could also ding your commissions. So you had to close. And so the selling style there has really changed and adapted to where we want to take our time on the front end.
Yeah.
I want to ask, hey, tell me about your family. Tell me about what's important to you. You know, what are some things that you need covered that maybe your agent before didn't cover? Or what are some things that are important to cover? Have you had a policy review? Has anybody explained how these coverages work and how it's applied? Um, Tell me about your motor vehicle history. How many tickets and accidents? It's really important that you ask how many tickets and accidents do you have? Because if you say, do you have any accidents or tickets? What are they going to say? No.
Don't have any.
No's the answer for everything on those questions, right? But if they have something and you ask it, like, hey, it's almost like you pretend, hey, I see your reports. They're going to like, oh, well, he must have something. Let me tell him. Let me be truthful. So we really question them up front. Hey, what's important to you? Service, coverage, or price? And if they say price, which is what I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, hey, they're always going to say price. Our job is to never have them bring up price for the rest of the conversation because it's not about price. everything costs based on the value, and price never supersedes the value, right? Like it's do you feel what you're paying, you're getting what you're paying for? And I always use vehicles as like a way to explain that. Why would somebody buy a Chevy Cavalier or a Mercedes Benz? Why are people still buying Mercedes Benz? Like it costs like 100 times more. So the bells and whistles off the Mercedes, the value, maybe the German engineering, the steering, how fast it goes. All those kind of things are the value of why people see that it's worth it to buy the German engineered, BMW Mercedes or the Chevy Cavalier, which just gets you A to B. You're getting what you're paying for. So, yeah, I think people, now our style, we've really slowed it down. I tell my sales consultants, sales reps, take your time. There's no 15-minute mark. If it takes you 20 minutes, great. If it takes you 30 minutes, okay. If it takes you an hour, we're okay. Because we're building that personal relationship. We're building that bond with that client. And they're not getting that anywhere else. So we if I could change it, and I'm not sure it would mesh well with Geico, because Geico is about speed. All they've got to sell is rate. They have really nothing else. That's why they spend billions of dollars on marketing. There's nothing else to sell with it. But that would be the key, is to slow it. I think they try to do that. I think now they are doing a lot of different things. If you look at Geico's blueprint right now, it's definitely changed in the last 20 years. I mean, now they're getting more local, right? Those local shops, GFRs or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
You know, they're getting those local shops because they want to be present in the communities. They're seeing, hey, we need a personalized presence. Right now, over the phone is just, we're selling on price. You can't win like that.
No, you can't win like that. How do you win in the independent world? How does your sales team win when they're up against a Geico GFR?
Yeah, like I said, we do get that, and right now they took a big rate increase in our area, so we're getting that a lot now. But they're not our target market, because typically your Geico people are, they may be renters, they may be, one car owners. Their bundle discount is not heavy, right? Because they don't really have the home insurance side. I think they broker through Travelers,
Right.
and it's a small. I don't even know if they get anything, but if they do, I heard it's like 5%. So with us, it's a bigger discount. I call it, hey, you're time to grow up and get big boy insurance. So let's really sit down. Let's have a consultation about what you're getting from us. And so we have 11 questions we ask up front, and then we try to ask more than that, to really build that rapport and understand what the challenge, frustration, problem is. And then what we do is we lead into some kind of a liability story to really scare the hell out of them, so that they understand we're not needing to close. They have self-discovery. Hey, you know what? We do need an umbrella policy.
So, how did you figure out your umbrella technique, having come from an environment where you wouldn't have even had the time on the call to really have an umbrella discussion? When did you figure out that was going to be a strategic move and a difference for your
I've
agent?
always been a go-getter. I've always loved competition. I love being, I tell everyone, look, give me 110%. I want to be first, but if I get second, I'm okay, because I gave it my best. So I've always stolen from other insurance agents on how they do things, and then I've just tried to make it as perfect as possible, to win. And so the questioning part of the front side of it, I really learned doing mortgages and really understanding kind of where that person was coming financially, or why they wanted the house they want, or where they wanted to live, and help them through that mortgage. That's how I won a lot of deals with that. And so I said, okay, I need to slow up this insurance sales process to really figure out, to understand and know my client better, right? So the front end, I just kind of knew from all the careers, all the past experiences I've had. I was listening to Craig Wiggins and hearing them coach on some things, and I was already really good at bundling. So we were really, selling based on stories with the auto and home. But when I heard Craig Wiggins say, hey, lead with the umbrella, I decided, okay, that makes sense. Because if you get the umbrella, what else do you get? You get the auto and home. Then it opens it up to a real conversation about life insurance or about their business insurance or about other things they have. And it really kind of lends directly to client referrals because people are like, all right, this guy's different. He's really caring about us. He's really showing us some things that we didn't know before. I feel completely covered. I'm happy. And now I want all my family, I want everyone I know to be with this guy. So it's a blend. Just all my past experiences that I've had and what I hear, what I've learned, what other successful people are doing. I was talking to an agent the other day, and we were just talking about how we had talked to several other agents the week before, and I don't know why, and it's just a part of me. It's my nature. I probably talk to, I don't know, at least two or three different agents a week. I'll just pick up the phone and I'll just say, "Hey, Caitlin, how are you doing? What's going on?" I think Angela Trimble, I called the other day asking her about AI technology. I got a great mastermind group. I talk to those guys all the time. So it's like I'm just always learning. I'm always trying to, strive to hear what other agents, successful agents, are doing, and then I'm looking to see if I can adapt that in my own.
I love that. And I love when it comes to selling umbrellas, what a strong health indicator it is for the agency. Because if the sales team is kind of leaning towards being a little too transactional and maybe rushing a little bit, or maybe cherry picking a little too much, umbrellas are really a good mirror for how many questions we're asking and how are we at really uncovering the true need of the client. Are we building rapport with them? Are we taking the time to really help them manage the risk in their life? And if you are doing that, suddenly you've set yourself apart from the other people that they've spoken with in a way that is really unique and just lends to your agency value proposition. So I love that it gives you that like pulse on like how the sales team is doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask every insurance agent, is the umbrella policy worth it? They would all say yes, but no one's doing it, right? It's just like an add-on down the road. No one offers it up front. And I don't know why. I don't know why you wouldn't offer that first, knowing that if you have that at the right coverages, auto and home are going to fall in your lap. They have to. So we just kind of sat back as a team and said, okay, what do we want our non-negotiables to be? And we put a limit on liability coverage. We don't go under 100, 300, 250, 500 to get the umbrella. So that's what we lead with. And then if we get someone that, is really tough to close or a tough customer and doesn't want to do it, then 100, 300 is the minimum, right? So we just did a lot of non-negotiables and kind of figured out what we want our agency to look like. But then also, just like you said, retention will be at an all-time high, right? Because they've got multiple policies with you, which means we know we've got them covered correctly. They've got the highest limits of coverage because of the umbrella. We know we've got them covered completely. All those customers are, it doesn't matter if you're fluent. It doesn't matter if you're check to check. If you're check to check, you need an umbrella more than the affluent do. And people don't think like that. People think, okay, only the affluent need umbrella. It's not the way it works. Everyone needs it. You just got to explain it. They got to understand why they need it. And no one understands until you paint that picture and you tell that story. So, story I love is the swimming pool story because it happened to me. We've got a client, had a pool, and we start the story off, especially anybody that's got a pool. All of my agents know this story. And you got cousin Eddie, and he's all drunk at the party, and he goes and says, "Hey, I'm going to do one of those pencil jump ins off the diving board into a donut hole raft," and misses the raft, hits his neck on the side of the pool, breaks his neck. Luckily, he survived, but hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical, and who's going to cover it? right? And then when you pose it to the client like that and say, hey, do you have $700,000? No. Okay, where is it going to come from? Because it's coming from somewhere. That's when it's eye opening. That's when it really sets in. That's when the self discovery says, okay, you got me. I get it now. I need that. And then guess what? You got the auto at home. So complete package is a big deal for us. If I'm going to do something, I want to do it right. I sleep really well at night knowing my clients are all taken care of. And when someone has an accident, it's not okay. I hope they have the right coverage. It's okay. Are you okay? Is there anything we can do to help? Because I already know you're covered right. So it's a peace of mind thing, right? And that's what we're selling. At the end of the day, the state says it's by law, but for us, it's peace of mind.
That's huge. And you took the time to create non negotiables with your team, to script out 11 questions you asked up front, to have a process for getting the complete package. What are some of the benefits to having a sales process as a team as opposed to each agent kind of figuring it out on their own and having their own style? How do you balance those two things?
Yeah, we have a training that we go through as a team every day at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock is like, hey, get on there. Let's all train. Let's handle, the objection handling. Let's handle the challenges. What are we facing? And I think before that, everyone was kind of in their own, and we were not rowing in one direction. Everybody was going everywhere, and then that's when errors and mistakes and miscommunication happen. And we were finding, okay, this customer is, got 5,100, and those clients are having more accidents than the 250 500. Or why did they choose this coverage? So it just became a mess to keep up with, and we were trying to decide, okay, is that our client target? Do we really want that person? And the sales rep, they care now, right? I think that's the difference. Before, if you're selling whatever, you don't care. It's just a number. I just want a paycheck. I want to make commission. Now we're selling on the premise like, hey, I want to pay you commission, sell the umbrella so you can get the auto and home and you can make more. But now you also did your job right. It's a care thing. And I think my team sees the difference and they're saying, you know what, we care. It's not just a transaction. We're not just here to order take. And I think a lot of agents, most agents out there, that's what they're doing. They're just order taking to satisfy the client. And we want to satisfy the client, but it's on our terms. It's our non-negotiables that you have to go through. And if you don't want to do it, then guess what? Geico is down the street and they can deal with it. But right now, Geico's got some, all carriers are struggling, but Geico's got some loss ratio issues. They got some, some things going on. They had to take a 20-25% rate increase here. So we don't have to worry about those things because we know we got the right coverages for our clients.
So just to play devil's advocate a little bit, could you speak to the agent in the room who's like, okay, I know I don't want our team to be order takers. I don't want that, but I don't feel like we're ready for a sales process because to me that feels like it could be inauthentic. Every client is different and I don't want to be order takers, but I want to give my team space to be themselves.
So I'll just say this, statistically proven, people that have our team, since we followed this sales process, have closed at a higher close rate than we ever did in the past years. So I started this sales process about a year ago, maybe two. And before that, we were, we're closing around, I don't know, maybe 40%, 50%, somewhere in there. Now we're closed at over 70%. Now, I will say this, every person has their own unique selling style. You're not going to be able to control everything that everyone says. But what I will say is to help you get to a close where you're going to win, you have to be able to know that client believes in the product that you're selling And there's no way to know that until you ask the questions. There's no way to know what their true reason for calling in is. Um, one of the questions we ask is, in so many words, are you the decision maker? Because if you're not, what's the sense of me explaining all the value that we offer? You're not going to be able to explain it to your spouse, right, as good as we can. So it's not going to work. We do give everyone the ability to add on, to be independent. Everyone has their own unique selling style. I'm not taking that away from anyone, but the organization and the way it flows needs to remain the same because we know that's what works. If you want to tell a story up front, tell a story up front. But it really doesn't make sense to tell a story about coverages until you're going to be talking about coverages. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, it's like reading the end of the book first. It doesn't work. If you really want to understand what the book is about, you read it from start to finish. And so we kind of treat our sales calls almost like a book or a movie. Hey, let's let's learn about the characters. Let's find out what the plot is about. Let's learn a little bit of back history on what's going on here. And let's build on that through storytelling to reach a climax, right? To reach the height of what we're trying to sell. And then our ultimate goal is to have that client have some self-discovery, self-resolution. We have the solution. Insurance agents all have the solution. But does the customer realize that? So we need to also tell them a little bit about us, right? Why choose Kilgo Insurance? Why choose whoever, ABC Insurance Company? Why should they be with you compared to all the other hundreds of thousands of options they have on the street? So I think it's important to give people the freedom of what questions they want to ask, how they want to go about their sales call, but there has to be some order. We want questioning up front, we want storytelling, and then we want some kind of a close. People, it's funny because I'll still listen to calls and people are like, hey, okay, does this sound good? They don't know the next step. You've got to help them understand the next step. Hey, this is the step where you pay me. I need your routing account information. You got to ask. You got to close. And people are still not asking for the money. And so Geico taught me really to be really good at that. And then what I've learned through all the insurance agents, all my mentors, my mastermind group, everybody, and just kind of putting all the things together is to build up that beginning call so I know what to close, right? Because how many times do people go and you talk about order takers, right? I don't want a sales call process, I want an order take. If you rush through that application and you get to the end, what are you closing? They say, hey, I want to talk to my wife. What are you going to say? You have nothing to handle that objection. You just rush through everything. You don't know what's going on, right? You don't know if you're talking to the decision maker. You don't know what's going on. So now it's already set up to where you say, okay, I'll just email you the quote, which is the worst thing you can do. Email you the quote, and now I've got to close you again because you're going to call back in. You're not going to remember anything I said. And so you're going to call back in and you're going to say, okay, I'm still not sure about this. It's just a waste of time. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to eliminate that. Somebody asked me why the one call close. Why do the one call close and why not, do a video? Why not do email? And that is my number one reason. I'm trying to eliminate a waste of time. Why can't we just get this all done on one call? We know they're going to go with us, right? I just told you in the beginning, I'm very confident. I believe in my product. I know we're the best insurance company. Why would we need more than this one phone call? And then it also delays everything else. It delays you from other clients that you're trying to close. It delays you from other things you've got to do in the business. It delays the loan officer from closing. It delays the person themselves. I mean, everybody says they're busy, right? That's like the favorite word of 2022, 23, right? I'm busy. Well, if you're busy and I'm busy, what's the holdup? And what we're trying to do is not explain that holdup. It's already explained. The customer already realizes it and says, okay, I'm ready to move forward. At the end of our calls, that's what we want to hear. How do I move forward? I want the umbrella. I want the auto home. I'm going to go with you. How do we move forward? That's what we're aiming for.
Another benefit that I found to that one call close approach is that when you don't close in one call, they're almost kind of expecting a price conversation as the next step. So when you do call back, they're like, well, how much is it? Or if you do send the video proposal, well, how much is it? So video proposals have a lot of advantages as well.
And
There's
I
some
do
pros
like
and
that,
cons
by the
to
way.
both. Mm-hmm.
I do like that. I just found a way in agency Zoom that we can go right into Loom and do a video proposal. We're trying to we're trying to install that. We've got intro videos. When the lead comes in, we immediately send out an
Oh,
intro video.
awesome.
Yeah, it's like a 3 to 5 minute video that explains a little bit about Kilgo Insurance. That because nobody knows who we are, right? So that will give them a real inside scoop of what we're about, and I think it just makes them feel more comfortable. Hey, now I know a little something about these guys.
Face with a name. And for the agents, though, that are selling over the phone and planning to send a quote, I've just found that it doesn't make it easier to hang up the phone and book a call back, or hang up a phone and say, I'll email you something, because even if you were asking great questions and building great rapport, now you've made it about price because that's what they're expecting to hear next. So there's some steps you can take to set up the tone of the next conversation. Like, hey, when I call you back, Jason, I'll have a couple more questions for you to make sure we didn't miss the discounts that make sense for your situation, so that they're not expecting you the second you call to go straight into the price. So that's good advice.
And everybody talks about being scalable. That's
Mhm.
that weighs on my mind a lot. How can we scale? And I have found this is the best for us. Now, I'm not saying this is the be all say all. There's a lot of great sales process out there, but if I can get every call to call in, we can get in touch with that client. We can close on a one call close. We move on. And you had a question earlier about what some things you change. The biggest thing that I see, and I'm a little late to the game, but we're really isolating and honing in on it right now. We are really super focused on it. Is our client journey. And when I did Geico and I sold, whether I sold you or not, I never talked to that client again. I never was able to call back a client. A client was never able to reach me. You got that one shot. You got 15 minutes. Like M&M, you got one shot, right? With mortgages, same thing. After I sold you your mortgage, yeah, I showed up to your closing. Yeah, I gave you a gift or champagne or whatever, but nothing afterwards. You were lucky if you got a birthday card from me. Now we're really honing in, and I'm saying, okay, this is a residual business. This client has, we've wowed them at the front door. They're excited. They've given us client referrals. They've given us 5-star Google reviews. They love us, and we do nothing. And I think 99% of the agencies out there, they might have some automation in there. They might send out birthday cards, but there's no true wowing of a client journey of how that's going to look in year 1 to year 10 plus. Like everybody's just like, hey, I've got you, and let's just hope you hang on and stay with me and I make money. And we're really trying to do a client journey of nothing but videos and funny, memes and jokes, and trying to get people just excited and educated, right? We want to educate them because it doesn't end, right? It doesn't end for us. It doesn't end for them. And I love it when, people email out the quote, like the client is going to understand all the litigation behind it and what everything means. I mean, bodily injury. Does anybody really know what it means? Nobody knows what it means, right? I want to do one of the things I want to do. You ever seen those TikTok videos where the guy with the mic is asking questions to all
Yeah.
these people? I literally want to go downtown Richmond with a mic and
Yeah.
a film crew and
You
just
should
say,
do it. Go to Virginia Beach.
yes, Virginia Beach would be perfect. I want to go up on the boardwalk and say, hey, how you doing? I'm with Kilgo Insurance, and we're just curious. Do you know what your liability limits are on your vehicle right now? And just see how many crazy answers we get, because none of them are going
Liability
to be
what?
accurate. Yeah, liability what? I'm sure we're going to get more than that. But it's, that's the thing. Like nobody knows it, right? So if we can have a client journey to continue educating our clients on the products they need or where the coverages they were, it just solidifies us at the front end call of what we sold them and why they needed it and why they got it, right? Because the last thing you want is buyer's regret, right? Buyer's remorse. Oh my gosh, Jason just sold me an umbrella and I'm not sure I need it, right? And so if we put a client journey in there and explains, helps, you know, uh, uh, reinforce what we were trying to explain on the sales call, then I think that's what people need to do. That's what I wish we would have put together. I had a great business plan. I still do. Everything's going great. We got a great blueprint, but I wish I would have had that filled out, years ago. And now we're really, that's what we're focusing on now. So that's what I would have changed. I would have done that earlier.
That's great advice. And after you've gone through all that trouble to have this unique buying experience, they're walking away with an umbrella policy they didn't have before. They had a better consultation. They have their home and auto with you. Thinking through that client journey will just like give them that much more value. You'll be able to wow them again, keep that great first impression going, and just reinforce all of the great advice that you gave them to, help them manage risks.
Yeah, people think handwritten cards are like done, right? Like it's over. And, that was so 1990s, and it's gone. I'll tell you, I had a sales producer who thought the same thing. So I had a conversation with her, and I realized that she didn't believe in it. So out of an ordinary, it wasn't her birthday, it wasn't a holiday, it wasn't anything. I just sent her a card, and I just told her about how much I appreciated her and how much of a value she was to the agency. She said she teared up when she read it.
Aw.
And she said, Jason, you were right. I was wrong. Like, it makes a difference. And so we sent out thank you cards to everyone, handwritten. Um, I think that's the impact people just forget about and assume that just because maybe it's not something for them, it's not something that you can, like, as a whole, people are different, and they enjoy things like that. A simple handwritten note. You ever do that? I'm sure your
I
husband and
love getting
you.
notes. I love getting
Yes,
notes.
see?
I love
Didn't
it.
even have to
I
say it.
keep
You
them
knew where I
all.
was going with this, right? Like, it works. So, like, little things like that, it makes a big difference. Like, people want to feel appreciated. They want to be recognized, and clients do too. Like, I had it wasn't a card, but it was an email, and it was like a little video cartoon pop up email, and it was like, "Hey, just want to say we're celebrating, 1 month you've been with us, and we're so happy to have you as a client." Like, it was goofy. It was like, it was an email, but it was cool. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a cool idea. I need to put that in my system. Like, who is thinking their clients are being 1 month? Nobody. Everybody's 1 year, right? Everybody's like, okay, we want them to stay a year. Celebrate the 1 month. Celebrate the 3 months. Celebrate the six. I mean, no one's saying you can't. Do something different. So I just think the small, simple, wowing moments that you can put in, be creative. And I get with my team, we talk about this all the time. At the 1 o'clock calls, we're always talking about, okay, where can we get more creative to wow people? Because that's what it's about. I mean, people, what is it? Nobody wants to be sold, right? I want to buy, but I don't want to be sold, right? So that's what we constantly are thinking about. Okay, how can we help people want to refer us, want to be with us? Happy, I mean, elated. Like, I want to go tell everybody and not just say, hey, I have Kilgo and, whatever. I just need insurance.
With those 1 o'clock calls, like when have you seen coaching pay off the most?
Hands down, we go through calls, recorded calls. Hands down. Um, People don't realize what they're saying or forget what they're saying, or um, when you're on that phone call, it's like, hey, there's your shot, right? That's what you got. And I'm always thinking, if I don't sell a call, what I could have done differently. How could I? It's not only what I could have said differently, but how I said it, right? So you're to get better in this game, you've got to practice being quick on your feet. You've got to practice knowing the objection, knowing what's coming, understanding your client. Are the questions, you know, tuned into what they're wanting, what you need to know from them? So we do that. We go through calls. And we just say, hey, instead of saying that, you could have said this, it might have been a little bit better. Or if you would have went and talked about this, you wouldn't have had that objection at the end because you would have already explained it. So it's a lot of that. It's and then of course we do give accolades on great calls. Hey, listen to this call. This was a perfect call. If you did every call like this, you know, there'd be no competition, right? Like, hey, this was a great call. So we're highlighting and recognizing the great calls, and then we are coaching, never criticizing the calls that need work, need improvement, and whether you sold it or not. So one of the things that I got frustrated with is at Geico. One of the reasons I left Geico is I would sell a call, but they would say, "Hey, Jason, we realize you sold that call, but we don't think that customer was wild." And I'm like, "Well,
They did
I
buy
saved
it
them
within 15 minutes.
I sold them 500. I saved them $500. I think they were wild."
Yeah.
They're like, "No, no, that's not what we're talking about. We want them wild so they would go and give us a client referral or a 5-star review, and we don't think that client's going to do that." So that really weighed on me because I was like, I don't understand. You guys hired me to sell. That's what I'm doing. I'm selling. And that's what I've really transitioned to in this job. I'm not a closer. I don't need to be a closer. I need to educate. I need to inspire. I need to explain exactly what we offer and so that you understand it so that we can get to a place where you say, hey, Jason didn't sell me on this. I needed it. Jason just provided it. So that's what we want our clients to say. Hey, how do we move forward? Right? Remember that's what how can we move forward and do this? So I think yeah, it's I think that people need to understand that it and be coached to go through that sales call where they are encompassing everything of all of the objections can be handled before it, before the close.
100%.
And I think that's what a lot of people are messing up with in insurance, and it's because it's such um, I feel like everybody sees it as like a transaction, right? As a number. What are your numbers? How much premium did you write? Right? Like nobody asks how many referrals you got, right? Like that's the question. Like how many referrals have you gotten last month? Client referrals. That's or how many umbrellas did you sell? Nobody's asking those. Nobody's asking
The
coverage or
true
like,
indicators of success and
yeah,
making a
it's
difference.
like, yeah, it's like how much revenue, how much premium, and I guess it all goes hand in hand, but it's how it's presented. So yeah, I think Geico was just they really pushed for. They were trying to find a way. They knew what they were. Hey, we are a price. We want an order taker and then close. We know what we are, but we also know that we need to try to wow some people through that call somehow, some way to get more personalized. And I think that's where the opportunities are with the independent world is you can do that. You can be more personalized.
Absolutely. So, Jason, do you think selling is a science or an art?
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, I I love it as thinking it's an art because I used to draw a lot. I used to paint a lot. I'm a very artistic kind of person. So that side of my brain is saying, hey, I like it as an art because I just think it sounds cool. It sounds memorable, and I like to be memorable. But being a business owner, the business entrepreneurial side of me says it's a science because it's numbers, right? It's numbers, it's growth, it's revenue, it's you know who can win, right? How much competition can I get, from the community compared to other insurance companies? It's always competition. It's always what can we do? But I gotta say, if you're saying, hey, just from your heart, what would you say it'd be on?
That's the part that makes really the biggest difference and the biggest impact. And that makes me think of when we think of a sales process, we have these like key steps where we're like, okay, here's the areas where we want you to do something a certain way. something specific that's predefined. You've already pre-decided that at that moment in the call, you're going to ask this question. And so when you said art, I thought of like the picture frame behind me. Let's pretend I had a frame on it. There'd be a frame here and a frame here, and a boundary here and a boundary here. But you could paint whatever color you want inside of that frame and bring your personality and think of the other questions that you want to ask and how you're going to get to know that person and make a difference in their life. And there's still so much freedom to bring your own style to the call so you can connect with that person.
Yeah, you read the book Story Brand?
Yes, I
So
love Donald Miller.
so Donald Miller Story Brand, read his stuff, took a couple classes and different things, and so through him, he's the one that really pushed me to do the sales call and like have some kind of process to it instead of just, hey, I'm going to coach you how to sell, which I'm great at. We're going to put some rhyme to the reason here. And the way when you say art, I'm a big movie guy too. And so I think of each call as a movie. Hey, let's learn as much as we can about this client, about the character. Let's take them through a story and just, there's the height of, okay, because once you give them the price, it's over, right? The game is up. They know the price and they're either going to stay on the phone and go forward or they're going to say, no, I got to think about it or I'm not doing this, right? So you're building that plot. You're building up to a climax to say, hey, we're building on this. And the client's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear the price, right? Like I want to hear what the price is. I'm getting this, I'm getting that. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so much value. What's the price? And so I think of it as a movie, like, and art as, and art, like, each stroke, right? And you can't mess up. I'm a
Yeah, that's
big water,
not.
I'm a big watercolor kind of guy, right? Like if you don't like the way something looks, you just put water on it and you start over. And that's kind of how I tell my team, like, look, you can't mess this up. It's impossible. Don't say the wrong things, right? We don't want to leave anybody down the wrong path with the wrong coverage questions. But uh, if you don't do it right, there's a way we can get better. And I think a lot of agents out there don't practice them. They just say, hey, I know the coverages, I know what I'm doing, but they don't practice.
So, what
Drives me cool.
tools, final question for you here, kind of tying into that one, is what tools do you think agents need to be able to do that practice, to improve the sales process in their agency, to be able to coach? What tools are they lacking that would help them get there?
I'm a big tech stack guy. I really think I have one of the best tech stacks in Virginia. I think everything has to talk. I think everything has to communicate. I'm a big communicator kind of guy. Everybody has to be on the same page. I'll tell you, we use dial pad for our phones. We record every call. That's how we're going through that in our trainings. We're recording those calls and hearing what's been said and how we can improve that call. We use agency Zoom, and that's been a great product because it keeps our pipelines all tidy and going through. I think you've got some AI technology going in that can help with that. Um, learning on how to learning on how to educate or do some things there that you can put the human perspective on it. I think all the technology that's coming and what we have, I think as long as it's helping you with communication, video proposals, right? Big. I just found out we can. I think I've had it. I just haven't really used it. You can use and do a Loom video right from the sales pipeline and agency Zoom right now. That's huge. It's a time saver, right? That my producer can go through, quote it, have everything done, and get that video out to before they see the client, if they have all the information, or to the loan officer. And there's just so much opportunity there. And I think whatever is easiest for them to communicate with the client to get them to understand on a personal note, right? Like you got those bomb videos, I think are great. You can do those little videos to get out there in front of clientele or referral partners. So I think anything that's going to highlight them. We used to, in fact, our process used to be like during COVID, we would get somebody on the phone and try to get them on a Zoom call. Who's doing that? It's not scalable, but if you can do it, we had 100% close because they see you, they can understand you, the body language, and then you can tell if they have questions or if they're not understanding something, and so it just makes the whole call easier. And by the way, you can share screens. Nothing says that I can't show your information. So it just made the call easier. We were 100% close on that.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, I think any technology that's going to highlight the personal and keep the communication crystal clear.
Personal communication. And then some of those examples also gave the client like a visual of what you were talking about, which I think can help when those, insurance terms can get so lofty.
Yeah, and from Geico, look, and quick, right? Fast.
Mhm.
People want things like yesterday, right now. It's unbelievable. They expect everybody to be able to deliver something light speed. So I think if you can put all of it together, and it does help make you faster, but also more presentable, right? Like you said, visual, personal communication with that speed. That's the trifecta right there. That's what you want. That's the triple threat.
That's the secret.
That's the secret. We'll do the March Madness. That's the triple threat.
Well, thanks for sharing your tips and techniques and just more of your personal story too, Jason, because I can tell you're really passionate about what you do at Kilgo Insurance and being really there for your clients and creating an experience that's memorable and not transactional. And you guys aren't just order takers, but you're also putting in the time to coach your team and work through items that just help make them more successful, like your agency non-negotiables, your 11 questions, having that coaching call at 1:00. They come back from lunch, you guys spend some time together coaching, and then they're ready to get back to work. And so I think that one of the challenges in sales is that a lot of people do learn their sales role in a very like grassroots environment where it's like you just get out there and it's trial and error and you learn as you go. And the mentoring that you're investing in your team, I think will definitely put them in a different place had you not had those coaching measures set up in your agency.
I want independent thinkers. Like, I don't want to be around to babysit and micromanage everything. So by doing the coaching, that's what I'm trying to do. I want them to be able to be quick on their feet, handle things when I'm not around.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a time investment that is a win-win for both of you guys later on down the road. Well, thanks for sharing all of this amazing advice and hearing it straight from someone who really knows how to sell insurance. And I love what you said about how, like, let's treat every call like it's a movie. Get to know the client's story, have a story ready for them, and educate, inspire along the way as you explain things. And that's just such a memorable way to look at selling insurance. So thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
Caitlin, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode where we give you a taste of what the Amplify You program has in store for you. It's more than just a podcast. It's a comprehensive suite of resources designed to ignite your growth and success in the insurance industry. Get ready to explore our dynamic online learning management system, where you'll find a wealth of valuable courses and modules tailored specifically for insurance agency owners and their teams. We'll also highlight our calendar of virtual training workshops where featured guest experts share their expertise and provide actionable insights. And for those seeking an immersive learning experience, we'll discuss our exciting training boot camps designed to accelerate your progress and build community. The Amplify You program is your one-stop destination for future forward education and resources, and we can't wait to share it with you.